And all of this, the Taliban's charge, puts India in a tough spot. They aren't some ragtag insurgents anymore. They're rulers in waiting. So ignoring the Taliban is not an option. Neither is embracing them. Then what should India do? Strike a delicate diplomatic balance, put practical thinking over traditional approach. The first step is making sense of what is happening. Who does the American troop withdrawal benefit? The Taliban clearly sees this as a victory. As they say, insurgents don't have to win, they only have to survive. And that's exactly what the Taliban did. Survived the American onslaught for 20 years. And now the road to Kabul is open. Question is, have they changed? The Taliban of 2021 is not the Taliban of 1996. Today, their spokesmen dish out polished English. They travel the world. They tweet from their fancy smartphones. The Taliban's methods have clearly changed. But what about their worldview? Well, not so much. They still don't support democracy. They still carry out terror attacks. They still oppose educating girls. So hoping for a Taliban renaissance is wishful thinking. They're still hardcore Islamists with conservative notions. What's worse, they're a lot more experienced now. In 1996, you see, they were disorganized, they were largely clueless. They were built to fight, not to govern. And Pakistan used this to their advantage. But today's Taliban does not need foreign help. Their political and military wings are separated. They've been running shadow ministries for 2 decades. So this new Taliban will not be a Pakistani stooge. They're more than capable of running a government, albeit an oppressive one. Where does this leave India? New Delhi has 2 broad objectives in Afghanistan. On Tuesday, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar spelled them out at the United Nations Security Council. Listen to this.
Any political settlement in Afghanistan must ensure that the gains of the last 2 decades are protected and not reversed. It should, therefore, preserve the constitutional democratic framework and ensure the protection of the rights of women, children, and minorities. For enduring peace in Afghanistan, terrorist safe havens and sanctuaries must be dismantled immediately and terrorist supply chains disrupted. There needs to be zero tolerance for terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including its cross-border one.
Protecting the gains made since 2001, liberating Afghanistan from terrorism. These are 2 stated objectives of India. A Taliban takeover makes both of them impossible. So what are India's options? Should New Delhi be talking to the Taliban? Reports say it already is. Minister Jaishankar visited Doha twice this month. Why is this important? Because Afghanistan may be the battleground, but Doha is the power center. This is where the Taliban runs its political office. Jaishankar met with Qatar's foreign minister and American envoy Zalmay Khalilzad. But was there a meeting with the Taliban? A senior Qatari diplomat says there was. And I'll give you some context. Qatar's special envoy, Mutlaq bin Majid al-Qahtani, was attending a webinar on the Afghan peace process. He was asked about India's role in Afghanistan, and this was his reply.
I understand that there has been a quiet visit by Indian officials to India to speak with the Taliban. Why? Because not everybody is believing that Taliban will dominate and take over, but because Taliban is a key component of or should be, or is going to be a key component of the future of Afghanistan.
India has not confirmed this, but India's outreach to the Taliban is tentative, and rightly so. There are no indications that they have changed. So what can India do? How can India strike a partnership without befriending the Taliban? A relationship of convenience is a possibility. Let me explain this. India has invested $3 billion in Afghanistan. It is willing to invest a lot more. So if the Taliban comes to power, it will need Indian funds. Keeping Afghanistan impoverished and underdeveloped is not an option. The people have tasted prosperity, the possibilities of a good life. And to deliver this prosperity, the Taliban is going to need India. And this gives New Delhi some wiggle room. But India's outreach is a two-way street. What can the Taliban give India in return? At the very least, assurances. Let me pull up a Taliban statement that was released earlier today, and this is what it says. We assure all neighboring countries of Afghanistan that no problems shall arise with the arrival of Mujahideen to border regions. Good relations shall be maintained as before, and no obstructions shall be created for border movement. They're already talking to Afghanistan's neighbors with these statements. It's an encouraging statement nonetheless, but India cannot take the Taliban on face value. It must explore strategies to contain them at the same time. One option is to use partners to bring pressure to the Taliban, whether it's Russia or Iran. Think of it as an indirect leverage, a regional axis to keep the Taliban in check. The next couple of months are going to be crucial for Afghanistan. The way things are going, a violent takeover cannot be ruled out. India will be watching closely and bracing for some tough calls. Which way will New Delhi go? Will realpolitik trump principles? Watch this space for updates. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.